We are back. Cover 2. We're smiling. We're smiling. 7-0, and you don't even have to say who's coming in this week. Florida State, Darrow, Christy Chirinos. We will do a quick look back at the big win over Louisville and a lot of that focus offensively. Yes, we can always talk about that guy, him, QB1, Cam Ward, but the running game, over 200 yards and quite a unit and quite a relationship amongst not just 2, but 3 or 4.
Yeah, I think that was really one of the takeaways from Saturday's game was, yes, the running game got going. The running game was effective. I mean, we all saw Damian Martinez carrying, half of Louisville's defense into the end zone with him. But you talk to those guys and you literally hear them say, I'm not going to run from competition. They talk about how, there's only X amount of carries in a game. So one day it might be Damian's day. One day it might be Mark's day. A.J. Allen got some big carries in the fourth quarter, but those 3 guys are pushing each other every day in practice. And that's what they say is making them better. There's no selfishness. There's no back and forth. And I just thought it was really interesting how all of them, you talk to all of them, they all say, we just feed off each other's energy. And I think that was, that's something you want to see from a team this successful, right?
Yeah, and you see it on the sidelines. Like you literally see, and Mark Fletcher's the one with the gregarious personality, right? When Damian Martinez is doing well, he's as happy for him as he would be for himself. And he's the one that even said, this offseason, right, you could look at Damian Martinez and you could look at it as fear, or you could say, wait a second, I have an opportunity to learn from someone who's experienced. What a mature outlook.
Yeah, but that's who Mark Fletcher is. Yeah. I mean, you spend enough time around that kid. He's always got a smile on his face. He's always pushing himself to get better. And he saw Damian Martinez coming in as, like you said, an opportunity. This guy's been in the game a little bit longer than I have. This guy does things a little differently than I do. I'm going to learn from him. I'm going to take that, and together we're going to make the Miami Hurricanes a better football team.
And there's these great moments on the sideline. Coach Merritt, all of them, it doesn't matter who it is, when they usually come off the sideline after a touchdown, there's this embrace and a hug and a whisper in the ear. He has not told me what he says, but he cherishes that moment. And credit to him for having the trust and faith and foresight that it was the right time for A.J. Allen.
Yes. You talked to Coach Cristobal, and they said, and Coach Dawson said it as well, Coach Merritt saw something in the way A.J. Allen practiced last week and said, we need to give him a shot. I think he's going to be a good fit right here in this situation. And again, we saw that. We saw how crucial that was in the fourth quarter. Keep those legs fresh, get those reps going, and ultimately Miami came out with another win.
So speaking of fit, left tackle, and a little bit of left guard.
Yeah.
Right back where he started, Jalen Rivers. And we just talked about the word mature.
Yes.
I'm not sure there's a word that ever is more fitting for a certain person than it is for Jalen Rivers.
Jalen Rivers is and has been one of the leaders of that offense. Even when he was hurt, even when he couldn't be out there the way he wanted to be out there, he was a force in practice. He was, lending his ear, giving tips, giving pointers to Markel Bell, to the rest of the linemen, and I had a chance to catch up with him after Louisville, and he said, it was great being out there, but I learned some things too being a coach. I got to be a coach for a few weeks, and that perspective, you talk to a guy when they're coming back from injury, they always see the game a little differently when you're watching it from the sideline, and you take it and you learn from it. And that's, what he says he's done. But again, also coaching and giving those pointers and giving those tips to the guys on the line.
Well, he's got those seasoned eyes, right? And I can tell you point blank on the sideline, there was a moment, one of the home games, I don't remember which one, towards the late, it was probably either Fan Mirabal Stakes. It was late in the game, and Alex Mirabal was going to give some of the other guys some reps. So the first teamers were out. Jalen Rivers wasn't playing. And Alex Mirabal stands up from the sideline. He's going to get his guys ready, and he takes the iPad and he hands it to Jalen Rivers, and he's sitting next to Markel Bell, and he says, "Coach him up." Yeah. And Jalen Rivers would always sit on the bench because it basically goes Zach Carpenter, right? It goes McCoy, right? It goes Inez, Cece, and then it would be Markel Bell, right? Like the offense, and then right next to Markel Bell, always sitting at the end of the bench, would be Jalen Rivers.
That's just who he is.
Exactly. And speaking of just who he is or it is, we don't have to say much more about this game.
No, it's Miami, Florida State. And if you spend enough time around this team and around them as well, they're going to tell you records in this series do not matter. When Miami and Florida State get on the field, it's always a battle. It's always intense. It's a rivalry game. That's what you expect. That's what you want. So, yes, this is not the Florida State team that we are used to seeing.
Doesn't matter.
Exactly.
It doesn't matter.
And that is exactly what the guys will tell you. Again, had a chance to catch up yesterday with Xavier Restrepo, and he said, listen, maybe they haven't executed the way they've wanted to. They're going to execute on Saturday. that's just what this game means to both programs. They are going to find a way to maybe make those plays they haven't made in other games. So we have to be ready for it. That was what he was saying. And, that's the message that's being driven home is when Miami and Florida State play, do not get caught up in the records. Do not get caught up in what has happened to this point or what happened last year. You're going to get the best effort from both teams, hard, physical, every time.
You know who's also going to execute? The fans. I guarantee
Yeah.
you'll know, when you show up to Hard Rock on Saturday,
Yeah.
you'll know it's a rivalry game. There'll be a lot of energy in that parking lot.
Absolutely. And the guys feed off that. We've had great crowds on the road, which has
We have.
meant so much to the players. But they're already saying, hey, pack Hard Rock, be loud, make it our place. Let's make it the hardest place to play in the ACC. So let's see the fans turn it up a little bit this weekend too.
All right, Christy, thank you very much. Time for one last thing. And today we're going to focus on the number 7. We'll start with Xavier Restrepo. First in career 100-yard games with 10. 21 more yards, and he moves past Michael Irvin for third all-time in receiving yards in a career. He's already number 3 in receptions. How about Cam Ward? He's leading an offense that is second in scoring points. So that's a touchdown and a field goal, 7 points. Second in the country in terms of scoring points. He is also the only quarterback in the history of UM to start his career with 7 300-yard games. He is the number 1 passer in the country in terms of touchdowns and yards per game through 7 games. So you see where I'm going with this. The power of 7. The Canes are 7-0. Let me remind you how many games the Canes won a year ago. You guessed it. So 7-0 with 5 more to go and a big one coming up this weekend. My message to you, enjoy it. The Canes are in a wonderful spot. Your team, look where they've come. Look where they're going. Embrace everything in front of you. This is what college football is about. It is fun. And oh yes, there's a rivalry tomorrow night, Hard Rock Stadium. And guess what time it's at? 7 o'clock. Miami and Florida State. ESPN, or tune in to 560 QAM. And yes, beyond having fun, do one other thing. Pack the rock.